Backyard live streaming rock show. Allman Brothers. I don't know what I felt. The song that I was going to play from Paul Nelson just didn't want to play. It was like he wanted me to play this song instead. So I followed the lead. Some great stories here about Paul Nelson, the Paul Nelson tribute going on at the Factory Underground Studios right here in Norwalk, Connecticut, where Paul loved to come. He loved this place, and he was all about networking and just, everybody's saying how he, they got a hug from him, even if they didn't know him that long. They just felt close. Like they felt the warmth from Paul Nelson. And right now we have Joe Lapino, who did security for Johnny Winter. And welcome to the show. You wanted to say some things about Paul. How long have you known Paul?
On and off, maybe 2012. I met him through a friend of mine. And
so he was playing with Johnny Winter when you were doing security?
Yes. They asked me, it was the Belle Island Cruise out of Stratford. And Johnny didn't need no security because everybody loved him. But Paul, being the great man that he was, knew I was a big fan, an aspiring artist, and he let me walk Johnny Winter on stage. And he told me, Paul said, "Don't grab him, but don't let go. And if he falls, grab him."
Wow.
So
So he really looked out for Johnny.
Yes, he did. And Paul himself brought a scene to Connecticut and to Norwalk, where I'm from. That when they did the opening for Giuliano's Music here in Norwalk, he had the great Lucky Peterson with him, and I got to meet Lucky, which is another blues legend of mine. And he also did a performance at the Peaches Club here in Norwalk, with Paul Nelson played with Andy Adeldorf. Forgive me if I say his name wrong.
Andy Abel?
Andy Adeldorf.
Oh.
He played, he's the one that went out with Dickie Betts. He's
Oh.
famous. I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, but I'm just a little excited. But I met the three legends. I met Johnny Winter, I met Lucky Peterson, and I met Andy through Paul, and it was just so gracious and inspiring for an artist. And he played at 314 Beer Garden when he got done here in Norwalk.
I saw him that night.
Yeah, and it was like a great homecoming to see somebody I know. And I was saying to myself, wow, is the blues going to go over big here in Norwalk with so many DJs and everything? But he got up there, and I think it was 600 plus that came through the door that day. I was talking to the guys that worked the place, and it was just awe-inspiring. And he came back again, and he did it, I think it was a year or two later, and it was just, when Paul Nelson was in town, it was like a big thing for all the local musicians just to see one of us up there, and it was just fantastic.
Yeah, that was the last show I saw him at, and he let me introduce him, and he said, don't forget Joe, who owns the beer garden. Don't forget Joe. Thank Joe. He told me like 3 times. He was always looking out for everybody to get the credit they deserved. It wasn't just all about him, And then he would just say, Grammy Award-winning guitarist. Grammy Award-winning guitarist. Don't forget to say that.
Yeah, we also, when they played the Richfield Playhouse, Paul let us in there. He let me into the Avante with my friend Sid, that knew Paul, and we got to sit down with Johnny. And then when they did the record signing at Johnny Z's Records in Darien, they had the Avante parked out there. I got to go in there and sit down with Johnny, and Paul was so gracious, always so nice, and he'll always have a space in my heart. And he brought a sound and a movement to Norwalk, to Connecticut, that I don't think is just going to keep on rolling in his name. And God bless him and his family for all they do.
Wow, thanks, Joe. Anything else?
No, thank you very much.
That's a nice way to say all those great words about Paul. And give it that local feeling too, because you're, Norwalk, Stamford, right?
Yes.
Fairfield County.
Yes, I'm from Norwalk. I guess he was from Stamford. He used to work at a couple of the music stores down in Stamford, and it was just great.
He was down to earth. That's why people loved him.
It's like I had a connection to blues greatness, and it was just
yeah.
It was just as a musician, man. It just awe-inspiring. It gives you the will to just keep following your dream, if nothing more than a creative endeavor. It just makes you real happy.
Joe Lapino, who did security for Johnny Winter. How many years did you do security?
you know, it was just a game. They say it was a way for me to hang near Johnny. There were some people in the audience saying, "Johnny got security now," but I didn't care. I stood next to
You're
the
pretty intimidating.
I stood next to the crashing cymbal that the drummer played, and I didn't move all night. My ears rang for like a year, but I didn't care.
You didn't get earplugs?
It was too late. I didn't want to move my position. I was right there in front of Johnny, and I got to watch him play. His fingers move, and when Paul let me walk him out on stage, man, you know, Hendrix, Johnny Winter, they're the two best in my opinion, and to walk Johnny Winter out there is, for a musician, what Paul did for me, it was like being a made man in the mob, man. I felt like I made it.
That's awesome. Let's play some ZZ Top right now.
Nice, man.
Oh, my head's in Mississippi. Oh, you wanted to say something?
I have a thing on YouTube. It's called Lupino, Blues by Lupino. If you subscribe, I could use it. Thanks for the plug.
Paul would tell you, don't forget to plug yourself there.
As he would.
My head's in Mississippi, ZZ Top.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joe. Joe Lupino, security for the Johnny Winter band, right? Johnny Winter and Paul Nelson back in the day.
On the Belle Island cruise ship, and they were supposed to start doing a lot of blues shows, but I don't know what happened. The Belle Island cruise boat ended up missing. Nobody could find the boat.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.